This is an example of how to add Catalina Technology web services to your .NET project. First, load Visual Studio and create a new project. In this example, we will be creating a Windows application. Let's call it CTAPI example. And then save. Next, let's add web references to the web services. For the first reference, let's go ahead and add Catalina Technologies order reference. Let's call it ordref. Then add the reference to the project. Next, we'll add the customer reference. Let's call this custref. And then add the reference to the project. One thing we like to do is store configurable variables in your web or app config. This is easily done by double-clicking on properties and adding settings to your project. In this example, we'll be defining several settings that relate to licensing for the Catalina Technologies web service. This way, you'll be able to change your licensing settings without having to recompile your code. The license settings will be given to you by Catalina Technology. They include license key, license name, software name, site key, site ID, and we'll go ahead and add company ID so that we can go and change that in the future. These settings will now be stored in your web or app config. Once you've made the changes you want, you should now be able to save your settings. Now let's do some coding. To make it easy to access the web services, we like to encapsulate them as a property. We can do this by creating properties for both the order service and the customer service. We'll first create private variables for each. Then we will create a get for each one and set the state of the property. Here for the ordserve property, we're setting all the SOAP headers and setting these to the property settings we created earlier. They are now controlled by either app or web config. Let's also create a custserve property for the customer web service. Now let's use our encapsulated property. It is now very simple to call our ordserve property that ties back to the Catalina Technology order web service. This is all that is required to retrieve an order from Dynamics SL through the Catalina Technology order web service, and we can now browse all the fields that come back from the order. Hopefully this gives you some insight on how easy it is to add Catalina Technology web services to your project. You can get more examples and code to this presentation from www.catalinatechnology.com.